Nothing hooks fans to a sport quite like rivalry. Watching two competitors duke it out for victory is what the whole concept of sport is built off of, and when you sprinkle in a little bit of tension in the mix, it makes things even more exciting to watch. Last year, the NASCAR Xfinity Series treated NASCAR fans to one of the finest head-to-head feuds the sport had seen in quite some time between two of the sport's brightest young talents, Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs. The two drivers exchanged wins, words, and controversy as the season went on. The championship battle between the two of them would go all the way down to the last lap, but to get to that last lap, we must first go back to the beginning. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and this is NASCAR's best rivalry in years, Ty Gibbs versus Noah Gragson. As dawn cracked on Daytona in mid-February 2022, a new season of the NASCAR Xfinity Series was about to begin, and one of the biggest contenders for the championship, Noah Gragson, was feeling quite confident that this would finally be his year. The outspoken young gun was entering year 4 of competition in the series for Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team, Junior Motorsports. A winless rookie season and an 8th place finish in the standings wasn't the best look, but Noah would bounce back by finishing top 5 in the standings in his next 2 years and racking up 5 wins within those 2 seasons. At this point in Noah's career, fans either liked him or hated him, and had justified reasons for both. With Gragson, what you saw was what you got. Talented, no doubt, he was quite the showboat driver, evident by his swagger-filled celebrations. He was never afraid to speak his mind in an interview despite his relative youth, and wasn't afraid to rough a driver up and make contact on track to get his way. Throw in the fact that he has a rich dad helping fund his way through racing, and you get one of the most polarizing drivers in NASCAR today. But come 2022, there was a new contender for that spot, and his name was Ty Gibbs. The squeaky clean grandson of coach turned NASCAR mastermind Joe Gibbs had turned many heads in the few starts he made in 2021, shocking the sport by winning on his Xfinity debut at the Daytona road course at just 18 years old. Gibbs would win 4 races in Grandpa's number 54 car in a part-time schedule while simultaneously going on to win the ARCA championship. Coach Gibbs would give Ty the keys in 2022, giving him a full-time ride in the 54. Naturally, a guy in Gibbs' position would get the nepotism label, but fans didn't hold back when it came to calling Ty a silver spoon driver. Through the eyes of diehards, Ty was seen as another rich kid that cakewalked his way to good rides, while the blue-collar drivers remained in the lower leagues. In more ways than one, they were kinda similar. Not to mention they had similar goals, winning the Xfinity Championship. As the season got into its early days, drivers on the grid got a taste of what to expect from Ty Gibbs as the season went on. In Vegas, Gibbs got into Ryan Sieg in what appeared to be an avoidable accident. Enraged by Gibbs' actions, Sieg would attempt to take revenge on Gibbs before wrecking himself instead. Ty would go on to win that race ahead of Gragson for his first victory of 2022, but he did have to deal with an angry Ryan Sieg who tried to thwart his plans. Gibbs' aggression had been on display for the world to see, but the Sieg incident was not seen as much in the moment. However, it would definitely foreshadow things to come. Gragson responded to this runner-up finish at Vegas with a dominant display at Phoenix to take win number 1 of the season, as Ty could only manage 5th place. Ty would then respond by winning Atlanta with Gragson in a lowly P26. The two had now won the last 3 races between each other and had emerged as early favorites for the championship. Now, as said earlier, the Sieg incident was a foreshadowing of things to come. I mean, sure, Ty raced another driver aggressively, but at Richmond, he showed the world he was willing to race anyone aggressively, even his own teammate. As the laps winded down at Richmond, Gibbs found himself chasing his teammate John Hunter Nemechek for the victory. Gibbs would be side by side with Nemechek going into turn 3 and shoved Nemechek right out the way to take the win. Nemechek restrained himself from speaking his mind in a post-race interview, telling Regan Smith that he would settle it on Monday and that he wouldn't forget Gibbs' move. Debates on this move were on the fence. Some saw it as a step too far when racing a teammate, while others saw it as nothing but hard, fair racing. However, anyone who was on the fence regarding Ty Gibbs most likely came off that fence, as Ty would hit strike 3 with fans at Martinsville. After being moved by Sam Mayer late in the race, Gibbs would bump Mayer on the cooldown lap and proceed to fight Mayer while his helmet was still on post-race. Fans berated Gibbs for the way he handled the situation and had turned himself into essentially public enemy number 1. As Ty's image continued to take hits, Noah Gragson took victory at Talladega. Watching Ty go from being seen as a talented young kid to being vilified for constant on-track skirmishes probably served as an instance for Gragson to look into the proverbial mirror, as he himself was once seen in that same light. Gragson had his low moments in recent memory. Just as Ty had his fight with Mayer, Noah had scuffles in the past with Harrison Burton and Daniel Hemrick. He even had an argument with Jeb Burton later this season at Charlotte. But as he continued in the series, he became more of a mature driver, staying quite far away from his immature past. The two would come together for the first time all season in Portland, with Gibbs spinning Gragson after a restart. Gragson called it a cheap shot and vowed to get one back on Ty later in the season. Unfortunately, Noah too would lapse right back into those immature ways back in Road America, wiping out Sage Karam in retaliation and earning himself a $35,000 fine and a 30-point deduction. To rub even more salt in the wounds, as Gragson saw his lowest point of the season, Gibbs saw his highest, defeating Cup Series champion Kyle Larson in a duel to take the win in the same race. As the two rebuilt their respective images, they would treat us to one of the best wheel-to-wheel battles of the entire season, as they duked it out for victory in Pocono, with Gragson coming out on top. The two would continue to win races all the way to the beginning of the playoffs, with Gibbs winning Michigan and Gragson winning 2 races in a row right before the playoffs began. The two would also make Cup Series starts in 2022. Gragson would run select races for Colleague and Beard Motorsports, while Gibbs replaced the injured Kurt Busch at 2311 Racing for the remainder of the Cup Series season. As the playoffs began, Gragson continued his hot streak by winning a 3rd straight race in Bristol and then winning a 4th straight race in Texas to become the first driver in Xfinity Series history to win 4 in a row since Sam Ard in 1983. Noah was on top of the world and in top form as he effortlessly advanced to round 2. Gibbs would advance too despite a crash at Bristol, coincidentally caused after contact with Gragson. The final 2 races of the season would be where the fireworks would truly be set off. Despite being locked into the championship race in Phoenix, Gibbs would wreck his teammate Brandon Jones for victory at Martinsville, robbing Jones of a championship spot. This made Ty Gibbs public enemy number 1 in not just the Xfinity Series, but probably the entire sport. Everyone from fans to drivers and even pundits expressed their displeasure at Ty's actions. Not to mention the antics in the Cup race at Texas, where he squeezed Ty Dillon in the pit lane, endangering crew members, and hit Eric Jones under caution, drawing the ire of the number 43 driver. After keeping relatively quiet on his feelings about Gibbs all year, this incident drew so much rage in Gragson that he chimed in and didn't hold back. Gragson described the Gibbs' actions as a dirtbag move and said his actions would catch up to him in the future. He also noted in a pre-race interview in Phoenix that few people on the grid had any respect left for Ty following his antics so far that year. One more race remained, the championship race. 4 drivers remained in contention for the title. The 3 junior motorsports cars of Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry and Noah Gragson, and the sole Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota of Ty Gibbs. Whoever finished highest would be champion, and similar to the narrative building that season, the 2 drivers that found themselves 1-2 at the end of it all were Gragson and Gibbs, as Ty Gibbs would beat the 3-1 odds to capture the Xfinity Championship, with Noah Gragson right behind in second. What seemed like the whole world rooting against him wasn't enough to deter the young upstart, and a disappointed Gragson had no choice but to settle for runner-up. Despite accepting his loss and shaking the hands of both Ty and his dad Coy, Noah made it clear that he still wasn't on good terms with Ty Gibbs, stating that it sucked to lose to somebody like him, and despite being friends earlier and coming up through the ranks, Ty had turned into what he described as a douchebag. The celebrations for the Gibbs family would unfortunately be cut short, as Ty would lose his father Coy, who passed away shockingly in his sleep the same night Gibbs won the championship. As it regards their careers, both of the young guns would move up to the NASCAR Cup Series full-time in 2023, with Ty replacing Kyle Busch in a brand new number 54 Monster Energy Toyota at Joe Gibbs Racing, while Noah signed with the team co-owned by 7-time champions Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson, the Legacy Motor Club, to pilot the number 42 Camaro. The two drove each other to the limit and set themselves as the class of the field, winning an impressive 15 out of that season's 33 races. As they both move on to the top level of stock car racing, only time will tell if these two talented juniors will make a name for themselves at the highest level, and maybe even reignite the rivalry that had so many eyes on the 2022 Xfinity Series season. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.